What's up, shitters? Welcome back. And if you're just stumbling across my page, my name's the MMA Casual, and I talk everything MMA, UFC, and combat sports, guys. This video is a little different. This year, the last two videos have been a little different, right? Last video was awards for 2024, and if you haven't seen that video, go check it out. I thought it was pretty good. Didn't get the love it deserved, but it's all YouTube and the algorithm. It is what it is. But today, we're going to be talking about UFC champions, right? But in 2025. On December 31st, 2025, a little less than a year from today, who's going to be champion in the UFC, right? And I'm going to go through every division, every female division, every male division, what I think is how things are going to play out, who people are going to face. And I think a lot of these are somewhat obvious. I feel like maybe some of them are casual answers. A lot of people are going to feel like I'm just kind of going with the general wave and the popular opinion, but it's just what I believe. So let me know what you think below. Let me know if you think I'm crazy. Let me know if you agree. Leave a comment. And for those of you who support me, like, subscribe. A lot of you are like, oh my God, I don't know how your page doesn't get more love. Help me out. You know what I mean? Thank you. Anyway, let's start off. I'm going to get the females out of the way, not in any bad way, just starting off with them. So women's strawweight right now, Zhang Weili Zhang is our current champion. She has a tough matchup against Tatiana Suarez. To be honest, I do think Tatiana could put up a good fight against her. Ultimately, I think Weili Zhang wins. Zhang Weili. I say Zhang Weili. I believe it's Weili Zhang. Zhang Weili wins that fight, in my opinion. I just think she's the better overall fighter. And from then on, I don't think there's anybody in that division who really tests her. I don't think they gave Janssen on another title shot. And everybody else, I feel like she just walks through. So I think she'll be one of the champions, and I'm going to write that down, that will remain. Women's flyweight, right now, Valentina Shevchenko. I'm a huge fan. You know, I thought she was better than Alexa Grasso from their first fight, their second fight, and then finally their third fight. She gets it done. Gets it back at UFC 306 in the Sphere. So she should be fighting soon. Nothing said yet. The only real competition there, besides if they try to match her up against Alexa Grasso, which would kind of be weird in my opinion. I'm not a big fourth fight type of guy. I feel like if we don't know who the better fighter is off three fights, I mean, what are we doing here? I thought the third fight was warranted. Second one was very close, and it probably should have gone Valentina's way. The third fight really cemented who the better fighter is, in my opinion. So Valentina Shevchenko has some tough opponents in that division. Again, if she faces Grasso, but Furo, I think she is one bad woman. She could strike like no other. I think she's extremely dangerous. She's bigger than Valentina Shevchenko. I think she has a good chance. Depending on who they match Shevchenko against is what I believe to happen. I think Valentina probably fights once in all of 2025, as whack as that sounds. I think maybe April, May. And then I wouldn't be surprised if she lays low after that. Furo would be my runner-up possibility. But I am going to say that I believe Valentina Shevchenko remains flyweight champion of the women's division in the UFC. Women's bantamweight. All right, Juliana Pena is our current champion. For those of you who've been watching me for some time, you know I'm not a huge fan. I wasn't a huge Raquel Pennington fan, but then again, I feel like she is unsalted white rice. You know what I mean? Like you took takeout, Chinese takeout. They gave you, white rice with your side of orange chicken. And it was just bland. There's no salt. It's barely sticky. It's just old rice. That was what Raquel Pennington is. I don't think she's all that. Never thought she was. Does she bother me? No. Juliana Pena bothers me. I can't stand her. She is a fool. I think she's like the Kobe Covington of female MMA. She tries so hard, and she thinks she's a lot better than what she actually is. With that being said, Kayla Harrison. That's our champion. Her last fight showed that she could overcome some adversity. She was definitely tested, real UFC competition. Whereas in that first UFC fight against Holly Holm, she just looked like she was gonna maul everybody. I think Kayla Harrison, has kind of stepped into reality of what the UFC is gonna be, and I think she's gonna do a great job. I think she's very driven. I think she's on every anabolic steroid there is. Anyway, she's gonna get it done. I like Kayla Harrison a lot. I think she'll be a good champion. So that's gonna be a new one. So that's the first new one. So I'm betting on Weili and Valentina Shevchenko to keep the belt, which is pretty tough. Next up, flyweight division. Alexandre Pantoja. Who do you throw at this guy? A lot of people are talking about him moving up. I see no need for that. I understand the whole double champ status. Number one, he's extremely undersized for any other division than flyweight. He's owning everybody. He has owned everyone before. Have a few fun fights. Demand a little more money. Cement your legacy. Become the best flyweight. That's what you could work up to. You don't need to work up to double champ, triple champ, quadruple champ status. That's what everybody wants now. Once McGregor did it, that's everybody's ultimate goal. I'm not that impressed. Why not dominate a division you're a champion in for years on, right? Like, oh, I became featherweight champion. Oh, let me just go to lightweight. Now I'm champion. Then this, like, defend the belt. I don't think those double champ, triple champs, whatever the hell you want to do, that shouldn't even come until you have at least 3 title defenses, which he does have. But now, in my opinion, just keep defending, man. Imagine Pantoja, a champion for like 5 years. One of the best flyweights of all time. And in this era, that's tough. Pantoja, nobody could test him. What I will say is Brandon Moreno. Brandon Moreno looks good, man. That last fight really showed he has a fire in him, the same type of fire that he showed in that interview back in the day when he's like, maybe not today, maybe not tomorrow, but one day I will be champion. And then he was. I saw that fire in Brandon Moreno. So Pantoja, as long as he doesn't get too comfortable, I think he remains champion. So I'm keeping him there. Bantamweight. Guys, Merab Dvalishvili. What a guy, right? And everybody ranks me on how I say Dvalishvili, whatever. Merab. Hell of a fighter, dangerous dude. Who's our bantamweight champion a year from today? I believe it's Umar Nurmagomedov. And I believe in 2 weeks, they're going to go head to head. And Merab's going to give him a hell of a fight. I have no doubt that this is going to be real deal. I think Merab's real deal competition. He could act like a clown and a jester and this, that, the other. Umar Nurmagomedov has a very tough wall in front of him to get to the title. Very tough. Merab is the real deal. He's a very good mixed martial artist. He's a little Energizer bunny. He's a machine. He's very good, very talented. But Umar Nurmagomedov, in my opinion, is better all around. I think he's going to have the edge. He's an elite mixed martial artist. He's our second new champion. Umar Nurmagomedov is my prediction for bantamweight. Next up, featherweight. If you ask me, and this is back to the whole double champ bullshit, if Ilya stays in the division, Ilya's our champion of the featherweight division. I don't think there's anybody who touches Ilia Topuria right now. I think there could be some fun fights, but Ilia Topuria can, in my opinion, easily be champion for another year and a half. For another 3-4 fights, I think Ilia Topuria could dominate the featherweight division. Now, there's a lot of conversation of him jumping the gun and going up to lightweight, which I think is rather ridiculous. But it is what it is. If Ilia decides to stay in this division, he's the champion, 100%. If he jumps and vacates the belt, I'm going to go on a whim here. I'm going to go against, not my better judgment, but my heart, because I would love for Volkanovski to be recrowned and be the champion. But I'm going to go ahead and say Diego Lopez would be our new champion. I think Diego Lopez has everything a UFC champ has. I think he's talented. He has the look. He's a likable guy. And inside the octagon, he's an absolute killer. On the ground and standing on the canvas. There's no ifs, ands, or buts about this guy. This kid, it's his time to shine. He's stepping in. If Ilia Topuria is not crowned champion, it will be Diego Lopez. With that being said, does Ilia go up? I think there's too much going on in the lightweight division. I don't think that fight happens this year, maybe 2026. I don't think Dana White is interested with Ilia fighting Islam or anything like that. So I think Ilia Topuria will be champion a year from today. If not, like I said, Diego Lopez. Lightweight division, another very tough fight. And if you ask me, his toughest fight yet. Tougher than Charles, tougher than Dustin, tougher than anybody he's fought before. Islam Makhachev against Saryukin. A lot could be said about this fight. And I'm not super confident about Islam Makhachev, but I do think he wins, right? And that's a breakdown for a different video. We'll talk about it. My reservations about Islam against Arman. But a year from today, Islam is the champion. Now, same thing. If Islam goes up to 170, which again, there's too much in the welterweight division to just let Islam rise up. If it's not Islam, I think it would be Arman. And like a vacated belt, he steps in against, let's say, Charles. They fight again. I mean, Arman is that guy. I think Arman can be champion. Arman can be champion in 2 weeks from today. I don't think it happens that soon, but he can be. My prediction right now, again, if Islam stays, I think it's Islam. So right now, Zhang Weili, Shevchenko, Kayla Harrison, Pantoja, Umar Nurmagomedov, Ilia Topuria, Islam Makhachev, and now the welterweight division. The welterweight division, from here on up, I basically have the majority of new champions. So welterweight division, I'm going to go and I'm going to say Shavkat Rakhmonov. Yep. I know a lot of people weren't impressed. The Ian Gary performance, this, that, the other, whatever. He outsizes the shit out of Bilal. Bilal's very good. Bilal's getting a little older. Bilal, I mean, he just had that osteomyelitis, the bone infection. I expect him to be the same guy, same cardio. He's very good. Now, 5 rounds with Shavkat Rakhmonov, I don't know, because Ian Gary was able to do things in the striking department that Bilal's not going to be able to do. So if Bilal's just pressuring Shavkat Rakhmonov and just going for these takedowns, I think he has a tougher fight. I think Ian Gary, because of his size and his ability to control distance, I think that's why he was very successful against Shavkat Rakhmonov, and it was ultimately a close fight. I don't think Bilal gets to do that. Bilal has to use these different tools, and I'm not saying he can't win a fight against Shavkat. That's very possible, but I think Shavkat will be champion. Next up, the middleweight division. I'm going Khamzat. So Shavkat Khamzat. Guys, whatever Dricus and Sean do, I'm not even excited about that fight. Whatever happens there, nobody cares. I want to see Khamzat Chimaev fight. Whoever wins that fight, which I believe should be Dricus. And I think whatever happens, after seeing what he did to Robert Whittaker, Sean can't do anything against that. And Dricus maybe has a little more power or has better ground game. But even then, somebody has to prove this guy wrong at this point. So I say Khamzat. It's another new one. So sorry for the pen clicking. So next up, the light heavyweight division. And the run ends here. That's my opinion. I love Alex Pereira. He's easily become one of my favorite fighters. However, I know, he has not been tested how we know he should be tested. And it could be the opponents. It could be poor game plans. It could just be that he's that good and they're unable to do it. He starts leg kicking. He hits you with a few strikes, or he stops a takedown once, and all of a sudden you reconsider your life, and next thing you know, you're knocked out, right? There's so many things that go into this. I don't think that no one's tried grappling, but only one person really has, in my opinion. It was Jan Blachowicz, and that was a really close fight. I'm okay if John would have won that fight on the judges' scorecard, but whatever, he didn't. And then you have Hiri. Hiri, was attempting when he got knocked out on the first one. So I'm not going to say it hasn't happened, but we haven't had elite level grappling against Alex Pereira. And when you introduce Magomed Ankalaev into this equation, I think you could get that. Now, Magomed has gone on to say, hey, if I fight Alex Pereira, I'm only going to strike. I don't believe that. I believe he'll say that. I believe he'll tell Dana. But the second he's in there with that guy and he smells the opportunity to become UFC champion, he's going to do what it takes to be UFC champion. And I'm not saying he won't strike against Alex Pereira because he's a very good kickboxer, but he is going to grapple. And in my opinion, if Magomed Ankalaev grapples against Alex Pereira has a very long night. And he's made his improvements. The time to grapple Alex Pereira was 2 years ago, a year and a half ago. Don't get me wrong. He is making improvements. I'm sure that's part of his game he's constantly working on. However, you cannot compare it to Magomed Ankalaev or some of these guys who've been grappling for a long time and who are successful grapplers. So with that being said, my light heavyweight champion for 2025 is Magomed Ankalaev. And it pains me to say it. It really does. But I'm trying to be as accurate and non-biased in my prediction. Look, I didn't give it to Volk. I gave it to Diego Lopez. So that's what I have to say. Now, the most complicated division, in my opinion, is the heavyweight division, because John Jones at this point in time has been somewhat ducking Tom Aspinall. Everybody believes that. I say he's looking for a check, and I think he's going to get it. So that's my problem. Is Dana White willing to pay this guy $20 to $50 million, whatever he's requesting, right? Someone said 30 the other day. I think he is, because this is as big as it gets. You have the heavyweight champion who just so happens to be the best fighter of all time, the best mixed martial artist of all time, John Jones. And you have this guy, Tom Aspinall, who has just taken the division by storm in the last year and a half, 2 years, knocking everybody out as soon as he came back from injury. And nobody has an answer for him. Nobody in the top 10, nobody in that division, period. So what do? I think you make these giants collide, and you have one of the biggest UFC cards you've ever thrown out. You know what I mean? You have the best mixed martial artists, the biggest guys. I mean, heavyweight sells, right? John Jones sells on his own. Tom Aspinall is going to sell. And also, you have a whole country backing him. So this is a very big card, and I think Dana will put up some money to make it happen. Now, if John takes it, that's one thing. If you ask me, my heart says if these two guys fight, John Jones win that fight, right? And like when John Jones and Stipe fought, honestly, it was like an 80-20 in my head. And that was me saying John Jones is getting older. You never know. Stipe could catch him. Stipe has a good chin. What if Stipe doesn't get taken down? But when we talk about Tom Aspinall, I have it more like 60-40. Because Tom Aspinall at any point in time could test John Jones' chin, which in reality this has never really been tested, especially not by a heavyweight who's knocking everybody out with a gust of wind from one of his punches. So that's a really tough one. I'm going to go ahead and I'm going to say John Jones. I wouldn't even be surprised if John doesn't fight. Tom decides to take another fight and then John cruises, right? Because John has 2 heavyweight fights at this point. And now he has he's almost at a record for longest champion in the heavyweight division. I think he already passed Francis because he's just holding on to the belt. He's not very active. Once a year, anybody could do that. Not anybody, but you know what I mean. When you're a champion fighting 3 times a year and you hold it for 3 years, you're impressive. But if you fight for 2 fights and you've held it for over 2.5 years, I'm not impressed. Long story short, I'm going to go ahead and say John Jones is the champion. And that's a crazy thing to say. Tom Aspinall has a good possibility, but I say John Jones. So let me break down what I said. Women's strawweight, Zhang Weili. Women's flyweight, Shevchenko. Women's bantamweight, Kayla Harrison. Flyweight, Pantoja. Bantamweight, Umar. Featherweight, Ilya. Lightweight, Islam. Welterweight, Shavkat. Middleweight, Hamza. Light heavyweight, Magomed. Heavyweight, John Jones. I think that is the picture. And if I'm going to say that was 11 different divisions. If I get 7 of those right, I'll be extremely happy. And I'm going to make a video next year. I'm not going to forget because that's why we do these future videos. And long story short, I'm not going to blab much. I want to hear what you have to say. Let me know in the comments. Like, subscribe, guys. I appreciate all the support like always. I'm the MMA Casual. Have a good one.